Welcome to the Love Story with Lisa channel. Today, we're bringing you a brand new story. If this matter were to spread, what dignity would the Marquis of Jingen's household have left? And how am I to face the Gao family afterward? Lady Wu was so angered she nearly fainted. Supported by her maid, she sat down, letting out a long, weary sigh. If I had known it would come to this, I would rather never have arranged a marriage for you at all. It would have been better for you to remain without wife or children. What a grave sin, what a grave sin. Victor Wu's face turned deathly pale. After a long silence, he spoke in a low voice. I was only asking. I never said I would definitely take the child away. I only thought that in the future, she could still bear more children. But the first one could be given to Bianca, so she would have someone to rely on in her old age. It was merely a transaction. If she refused, would not force her. Lady Wu's expression dimmed, as if her heart had turned to ashes. She let out a bitter laugh and shook her head. I always believed that as long as I continued to be understanding, one day you would place your true feelings upon her. But now it seems it was nothing more than wishful thinking on my part. She no longer looked at Victor Wu. Instead, she turned to me. My good child, do not overthink this. I am still here. The Marquis's household has not fallen to the point where others may act recklessly as they please. I was too agitated just now and have yet to fully recover. After the turmoil, my mind gradually cleared. I parted my lips, and a tear slipped down. Mother, I have something to say. Lady Wu nodded repeatedly. Speak, child. Whatever it is, I will grant it. I slowly sat up, looked directly at Victor Wu, and spoke clearly. I wish to know, why does Bianca Bai want my child? Victor Wu's expression stiffened. If you refuse, then so be it. The matter has already been blown out of proportion. Why pursue it further? It only makes it seem as though I am the one making trouble. A cold smile curved at my lips. My lord, ever since I married into this household, I have never treated Bianca Bai unfairly. The monthly provisions sent to her courtyard have always been of the finest quality. I have never interfered with the servants under her command. Even rewards from the palace I allowed her to choose first, taking only what remained. Even the luminous pearl bestowed upon me by the crown prince, I gave it to her in full when she desired it, without keeping even a fragment for myself. I paused, my gaze unwavering. Tell me, how many women could endure all this so calmly? I have done this much, has it not fulfilled every promise I once made to you, my lord? Victor Wu was at a loss for words. After a moment of silence, he finally said, You have done very well. I drew in a slow breath. Bianca Bai possesses immense wealth and has never lacked silver. If she truly wanted a child, she could easily purchase a few stunning beauties, have them bear children, and then raise those children herself. Would that not be far safer and more secure? Victor Wu remained silent. Lady Wu's expression shifted slightly. I sighed softly. I do not know what Bianca Bai has said to you, whether she wept and pleaded or feigned pitiful helplessness. But in truth, she does not genuinely wish to raise a child. She is simply too clever. I lifted my gaze, voice steady. A woman may be weak, but once she becomes a mother, she turns unyielding. Bianca Bai understands that I would rather die than hand my child over to her. That is why she struck first to force me into a position where, in order to protect my child, I would retaliate. Victor Wu froze. I continued, to a man, the greatest enmity is the killing of one's father or the theft of one's wife. But to a woman, if her own child falls into another's hands, it is a pain that claws into the very marrow of her bones. Victor Wu's lips trembled. I closed my eyes briefly and let out a quiet breath. Since my pregnancy, my mother has shown me great care, and you, my lord, have visited more often as well. Bianca Bai has seen all of this clearly. How could she not feel uneasy? Though she is favored, such glory that exceeds one's station is like pouring oil upon a flame, it only fuels danger. How could she calmly watch me give birth to a legitimate son or daughter? I looked straight at both Victor Wu and Lady Wu, enunciating each word. This is the first time Bianca Bai has truly made a move against me. She merely borrowed my lord's hand to do so. This is not a hidden scheme, it is an open stratagem. Her plan was truly vicious. I had indeed been provoked by her to the brink of losing control, almost to the point of committing something irreversible. Fortunately, I managed to remain clear-headed and did not allow her to have her way. Victor Wu and Lady Wu were both intelligent people. In an instant, they grasped the crux of the matter. Lady Wu said in astonishment, "I said it long ago, women from such places never harbor upright intentions. It is a pity you have been blinded." Victor Wu clenched his teeth. "You are overthinking this. Bianca is pure-hearted. She would never have such intentions. Those who are favored are always judged innocent, it seems." I let out a soft sigh. "My lord may not believe me, but you have lived with Bianca Bai for years, you should understand her better than I do. According to her calculations, the moment I truly strike back, you will inevitably grow to despise me. At best, I would be neglected. At worst, I would be stripped of authority and confined to a secluded courtyard for the rest of my life." I paused, voice steady. "And because the fault would lie with me, the Gao family would have no grounds to speak on my behalf. Bianca Bai would not only eliminate a threat, but also rightfully raise your child, my lord. One arrow, 3 targets. With me as the legitimate wife to maintain appearances, the household would not even need to take another main wife. Only then could she truly rest easy." As my words fell, both Lady Wu and Victor Wu showed visible shock. I allowed them a moment to think. Lady Wu inhaled sharply and snapped in anger. "I have said it before, overindulging concubines only breeds disaster. Chi Vu, if you continue like this, do not blame me for turning ruthless." Victor Wu's expression twisted with pain. I understood. In his heart, Bianca Bai was always pitiful, always lovable. No matter what she did, she could be forgiven. If she wished to strike me, I should simply offer my face for her to hit, but this time I refused to yield. Victor Wu spoke in a low voice. "These are merely your assumptions. Bianca would never think so far ahead." Lady Wu was furious beyond measure. "Even now, you still favor her? Where has your judgment gone?" As she finished speaking, she pressed a hand to her forehead, her body swaying as if she might collapse. Mother. Lady Wu." Panic erupted in the room as Lady Wu lost consciousness. Victor Wu rushed forward, catching her in his arms. His voice frantic. "Quick, call the physician." Fear seized my heart as well. If anything were to happen to Lady Wu, I would truly have no one left to rely on. Fortunately, the physician had not gone far and was quickly summoned back. After taking her pulse, he confirmed it was nothing serious, only that she was advanced in age and had been overly agitated. With rest and a few doses of medicine, she would recover. The entire day had been chaotic, people coming and going, leaving exhaustion in their wake. It was not until dusk that Victor Wu finally returned to my courtyard, dragging his weary steps. He looked utterly drained, offering only a faint reassurance, "Mother is fine. Do not worry. You are with child, let this matter end here. I will speak to Bianca, and I will also take care of you and the child." I looked at him quietly and said with calm resolve, "My lord, need not trouble yourself. I do not intend to make things difficult for you. At present, I have 2 ways to avoid conflict. Would you like to hear them?" Victor Wu lifted his gaze. "Go on." I spoke slowly. "First, you may send Bianca Bai out of the residence and settle her elsewhere, providing her with a separate estate. Only if she leaves this household can I ensure the safety of myself and my child. Otherwise, no amount of vigilance will suffice." Victor Wu's hands tightened as his voice turned cold. "Based solely on your speculation, you would drive her away? That is excessive." I paused briefly, then continued clearly, "If my lord refuses the first option, then there is the second. I am willing to give birth to this child and hand it over to Bianca Bai to raise. But after the birth, I will seek a divorce and leave the Marquis's household." The moment my words fell, Victor Wu was completely stunned. After a long silence, anger surfaced at the corners of his eyes. "You are retreating in order to advance, aren't you?" I shook my head lightly. "My lord, I no longer have any path of retreat. For all these years, Bianca Bai and I have coexisted peacefully because I have always been the one to step back. But once I bear a child, that balance will shatter. Whether the child is a son or daughter, obedient or unruly, so long as it occupies even the smallest place in your heart, Bianca Bai will not accept it. And she is not wrong. It was you, my lord, who raised her so high. Now she cannot come down even if she wished to, she no longer can. She was once too dazzling. Once she falls from favor, it will be like plummeting from the heavens to the ground. No one could endure such a fall." Victor Wu drew in a deep breath. "Do not try to frighten me with such extreme words." Though he spoke in rebuttal, his voice lacked strength. I was already exhausted from speaking so much, yet there were things that had to be made clear today. I pressed my fingers lightly against my brow and continued, "My lord, before our marriage, I once told you within a great household, nothing is more dangerous than divided hearts. It is a disaster that lingers for generations." I spread my hands slightly and spoke softly. "We have been married for 2 years now. You should understand, at least somewhat, what kind of person I am. I, Clara Gao, am not without means. I have simply chosen not to use such dark and insidious methods." My voice turned colder. "But if one day I am forced into a corner, the blade hidden within my sleeve will reveal its edge." Victor Wu's brow twitched. He let out a cold laugh. "So you are threatening me?" I shook my head lightly. "If my lord continues to hesitate, dragging this on without resolution, then sooner or later, the outcome between Bianca Bai and myself will be one of mutual destruction, both sides losing everything. I do not wish for it to come to that. Since childhood, my father has taught me to read, teaching me that there are things one must do, and things one must never do. He taught me that a true person's ambition lies far beyond the confines of a single place that even 1,000 miles can feel near. There are countless greater duties in this world. So why should one sink into the mire of a back courtyard, wasting an entire lifetime fighting for favor? I have not taken action against Bianca Bai not because I cannot, but because I still retain a measure of conscience. If my lord does not make a decision soon, you will surely regret it in the future. As my words fell, all color drained from Victor Wu's face. He understood I was forcing him to choose, and he also knew that everything I said was true. For the past 2 years, on the surface, the wife and concubine had lived in harmony. But beneath it all lay countless hidden dangers and fuses waiting to ignite. Under my unwavering gaze, he found himself unable to refute a single word. In the end, he simply turned and left, it seemed. He still could not face it, could not face the fact that the woman he loved Bianca by was capable of such ruthless schemes. I did not press him further, I would simply wait for his decision. A few days later, Lady Wu's condition improved. She held my hand, offering countless instructions, urging me to take good care of my pregnancy, speaking many words of comfort and reassurance. I listened obediently, my demeanor as compliant as ever. Lady Wu was already advanced in age. The true authority within the household still rested in Victor Wu's hands. On the third evening, Victor Wu came to my courtyard. He dismissed all the servants. His face carried a rare trace of exhaustion. Bianca once saved my life. Her inability to bear children was not due to some sterilizing drug from the pleasure house but because she was harmed by my former wife, Lydia Lee. Haltingly, Victor Wu began recounting the past between himself and Bianca Bai. She had originally been a famed courtesan of Yangzhou. With a beauty capable of toppling cities, and mastery in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, she had been treasured like a rare jewel by Madame Yu. That year, Victor Wu had gone to Yangzhou to investigate a case. Local officials, eager to curry favor, presented Bianca Bai to him as a gift. To lower their guard, he accepted her. At the time, he paid the girl no real attention, but later, when the case touched upon powerful figures, they developed murderous intent seeking to silence him forever. To escape, Victor Wu pushed Bianca Bai into the open as bait, while he himself hid in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. Unexpectedly, those men captured her. "Miss, are you truly going to divorce him? You finally have a child. Are we not simply making wedding garments for someone else?" I shook my head and sighed. If I remain in the Marquis's residence, how could Bianca Bai ever let me go? And if I strike back and harm her, Victor Wu will not spare me either. It is better to withdraw early. This was never a battle I could win. Rosie's eyes reddened. But how can your child be raised by someone from a pleasure house? My heart was filled with reluctance as well. But if I were to be framed and fall into their hands with accusations upon me, would the child not be even more pitiful? The moment Victor Wu proposed that so-called arrangement, I even considered drinking a bowl of abortive medicine, ending this child cleanly and decisively. But no matter how much I thought about it, I could not bring myself to do it. Bianca Bai cannot bear children. If she is truly wise, she will devote herself to caring for this child. Only in this way could she secure her position for the long term. I slowly explained everything to Rosie. The matter with elder uncle has already been resolved. My father has always been cautious and steady. This is the best possible time for me to leave Victor Wu. He still carries guilt toward me, so he will not neglect the Gao family in the future. Even if the child remains here, the blood of the Gao family runs through its veins that can never be changed. My family all feels indebted to me. My sisters have already married one after another. Even if I divorce, it will not affect their reputations or futures in the slightest. I looked at Rosie, my voice calm. This time, we can return to the Gao family and start over. I am only 19 years old. Why should I remain trapped between Victor Wu and Bianca Bai, living a life of endless restraint? For the rest of my life, I only wished to live for myself. Once I had made my decision, I was finally able to focus on nurturing my pregnancy in peace. After learning that I would be leaving, Bianca Bai seemed to let go of her concerns as well and no longer cause trouble. Having made up his mind, Victor Wu instead appeared more open than before. His attitude toward me grew gentler, more natural. A few days later, when he came to visit, I took the opportunity to speak about the divorce. Please do not inform Lady Wu for now. But the letter of separation, I hope my lord will give it to me in advance for safekeeping. Victor Wu raised his eyes slightly. You fear I will go back on my word? I let out a soft laugh. Not to that extent. But having it in my possession brings peace of mind. I will sleep better at night. Victor Wu sighed. I never thought there would come a day when a woman would regard me as some venomous beast. I waved my hand lightly. That is not it. But if, after I give birth, you refuse to let go, I will not be able to endure it any longer. The next day, though Victor Wu's expression was far from pleasant, he still handed me the letter of divorce. I carefully stored it in a box. At that moment, it felt as though a heavy stone had finally been lifted from my heart. Upon hearing of my pregnancy, my mother came to visit, bringing countless tonics and bolts of fine fabric. After much hesitation, I still could not hold back from telling her about my agreement with Victor Wu to divorce. The moment she heard, her eyes reddened. I had thought she would scold me. Instead, she pulled me into a tight embrace and began to cry. It is your mother's failure. That I could not speak up for you, forcing you to endure such grievances all these years. She wiped her tears, her voice choked with emotion. My good child, once you give birth and finish your confinement, I will bring you home. We will properly nurse your body back to health. Your father has many students of good family and bright futures. When the time comes, I will carefully choose a refined and upright young scholar for you. You will marry again and never have to live such a suffocating life. If she had blamed me, I might have felt more at ease, but her gentleness broke me completely. I could no longer hold back my tears as I clung to her. Mother, I'm sorry. I know I should not be so stubborn. I should have thought further ahead, should have used this child to secure my position, to protect father's and elder uncle's futures. I should have endured. But I truly cannot go on like this anymore. She gently patted my back. My good child, I do not blame you. It is our family that has failed you. As we spoke, a tall shadow seemed to pass by outside the door. Perhaps it was Victor Wu. But at that moment, I no longer cared. 3 months later, my belly had begun to show. The first time I felt the baby move, I nearly burst into tears from the overwhelming emotion. So this was the wondrous, beautiful sensation of blood being bound to blood, and yet, along with it came endless discomfort. At first, my appetite had been excellent, but now, I vomited whatever I ate. Even the faintest hint of fish would make me retch until there was nothing left. My body grew heavier by the day. After only a few steps, I would already feel short of breath. Victor Wu sighed. So it truly is not easy for a woman to be with child. Only now did he realize. The physician came often to check my pulse, advising me to keep my spirits light and eat whatever I could, but the truth was I simply could not eat. Lady Wu was deeply worried. She even transferred the most capable senior maid from her own quarters to attend to me personally, and rewarded me with so many precious items that the storage rooms in my courtyard were nearly overflowing. One day, when I was feeling somewhat better, I decided to have a gold longevity lock crafted for the child. Just then, Victor Wu came to visit. Seeing several design samples laid out on the bed, he asked, "What are these?" I examined them as I replied, "I am to become a mother. I should leave something behind for the child. Even after I am gone, these can remain as keepsakes." Each design carries its own meaning. Victor Wu grew interested and picked one up to read. Graceful and pure of heart. If it's a daughter, this one is quite fitting. I gently pushed it aside. My daughter does not need to be graceful and refined. I only wish for her to have both fortune and longevity to live freely and for herself. As I spoke, I picked up another design, engraved with peace and auspiciousness, and gazed at it for a long while. This one was suitable for both a boy and a girl. Victor Wu stood beside me in silence. Perhaps my words had touched something within him. I only gave a faint smile, no longer bothering to concern myself with his thoughts. In the end, the peace and auspiciousness design was crafted. Victor Wu also brought another lock of his own choosing, engraved with the words "Long life and 100 years." By the 7th and 8th months, my body had grown even heavier. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, when I needed to relieve myself, I could not even get up on my own and had to rely on the maids. Rosie even arranged to sleep on the floor in my room, just to better take care of me. Victor Wu also began visiting my courtyard more frequently. There was a time when he stayed in my main chamber for 5 consecutive nights. On the evening of the 5th day, Bianca finally sent a maid to summon him. "My lord, concubine Bai is unwell. She requests that you come and see her." It was the first time Bianca had sent someone to call for him. I was slightly surprised, but I simply said calmly, "My lord should go and take a look. Her health is more important." Victor Wu's expression darkened. He frowned and snapped, "If she is unwell, she should call for a physician. What kind of improper behavior is this?" The young maid turned pale with fright and hurriedly retreated. I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. Since when had the Marquis's household begun to speak of propriety? A concubine like Bianca, by whether in dress or daily conduct, what part of her life had ever followed proper rules? To speak of rules now seemed far too late. Before long, the day of my delivery arrived. When my water broke, everything had already been prepared in advance. The midwife, the birthing chamber. I was immediately escorted into the delivery room. The midwife placed her hands on my abdomen and comforted me softly. "Madam, do not worry. The baby is well positioned. When the time comes, just push, you will deliver smoothly." The Marquis and Lady Wu are both waiting outside. Madam is truly blessed. Fear filled my heart, yet I forced a faint smile. When the pain came crashing down, it felt as though every bone in my body was being crushed. The midwife urged me, "If it hurts, cry out, do not hold it in. No one can endure this kind of pain." I could not stop myself from letting out broken screams. "Ah, ah." Fortunately, though there were a few tense moments midway, when the time came, I successfully gave birth to a healthy baby boy. When the child was born, his entire body was red, his cries loud and strong. After being washed, he looked much more delicate and adorable. Upon hearing that it was a legitimate grandson, Lady Wu burst into tears of joy on the spot. It was said that Victor Wu was overjoyed as well, immediately rewarding everyone in the household with silver. A few days later, the child's features became clearer. Rosie said that the upper half of his face resembled me, while the lower half resembled Victor Wu, remarkably handsome and lovable. Perhaps because he was my own flesh and blood, I could not take my eyes off him. Such a tiny little being. Yet a single cry or a single smile was enough to stir my entire heart. Only after my body had somewhat recovered did Rosie tell me what had happened during the delivery. At the time, a suspicious old woman had been caught sneaking into the room, her intentions unknown. She had been handed over to Victor Wu, but naturally, nothing came of the investigation. It seemed that Bianca Bai had feared I might go back on my word after giving birth to a son and refused to leave. So she had tried to send me off for good. This only strengthened my resolve to leave this place as soon as possible, and yet, every time I looked at the child's tiny face, it felt as though a knife was cutting through my heart. After letting him stay by my side for a week, I hardened my heart and ordered that he be taken to the wet nurse's quarters. Rosie's eyes reddened. Mississippi, the young master. I closed my eyes. Once I have made my decision, I cannot allow my heart to waver. After gaining this child, Victor Wu was clearly overjoyed. Every evening after work, he would come to see the baby, holding him in his arms and refusing to let go, though most families avoided grandfathers holding their grandsons. Victor Wu had only gained a son after the age of 30. His excitement was understandable. When he heard that I no longer wished to see the child, he personally carried the baby to me. There was an unmistakable trace of pain in his eyes. But what use was such sentiment now? I deliberately pretended not to see it and said firmly, "After my confinement, I will leave the residence. Do not bring the child to see me again." Victor Wu stared at the baby's tiny waving hands and said in a low voice, "He is so adorable. Can you truly bear it?" I turned my face away. Was this not made clear long ago? "My lord, do not go back on your word." After a long silence, Victor Wu finally replied softly, "I will not." In the days that followed, I focused solely on my recovery, and yet, it seemed as though I could hear the child's cries constantly ringing in my ears. I began to feel that I was truly cruel, because of the hardships I had endured in the Marquis's household. I was willing to abandon my own child in exchange for freedom. Was I not unbearably selfish? Rosie rushed in anxiously, "Miss. During confinement, you must not cry. You need to take care of your health." As she spoke, she hurriedly wiped away my tears. I took a deep breath, forcing them back. Things had already come to this point. Thinking further would only be futile. I could only tell myself that perhaps there was simply no fate between mother and child. After my confinement ended, I bathed thoroughly from head to toe. Then I began packing my belongings, while also sending word back to the Gao family, asking my mother to come and receive me. 2 months earlier, Victor Wu had already given me a portion of private assets, several fertile fields and a number of shops in prime locations. I did not refuse. I considered it compensation for the years I had spent bearing children and managing the household on his behalf. Recently, Victor Wu had also given the child a name, Adrian Wu, courtesy name Tianxiang. I gathered together all the valuable items that Lady Wu had once bestowed upon me, along with several heirlooms from my maternal family, and wrapped them separately, intending to leave them all for Adrian. I was still considering whether to entrust them to Lady Wu or keep them myself for the time being, when I suddenly realized that Victor Wu had been standing outside the door for quite a while. His face was pale, his gaze fixed on me without the slightest movement, not even a blink. I had no idea what madness had taken hold of him. I simply pretended not to see him. After a long moment, Victor Wu finally spoke. "Clara, can you truly not stay?" I frowned and replied coldly, "The letter of separation has long been written." "My lord, there is no need to say such meaningless things." All of a sudden, Victor Wu strode forward and pulled me into a tight embrace. His voice trembled with emotion. "I regret it, Clara. I truly regret it. You cannot leave. Blood ties cannot be severed. You are Adrian's mother, he needs you. I was too foolish." Actually, I pushed him away with force, enunciating each word clearly. My lord, back then, I already gave you the choice. And the one you chose was Bianca by. Now, do you intend to wrong her once again? Those were the exact words he had once said to me. Now, I returned them to him unchanged. Victor Wu raised a hand to cover his face, his voice hoarse. I was wrong. I was blind. A pearl and a piece of flawless jade were right before his eyes, yet he never knew to cherish them. I can send Bianca out of the residence. I'll make sure she will never disturb you and Adrian again. Just don't leave, all right? There's no need. There truly isn't any more. Seeing the frost in my expression, Victor Wu stood up and hurried toward the door, speaking anxiously as he left. Clara, wait for me. I'll go send Bianca out of the residence right now. Wait for me? I had no idea what kind of act Victor Wu was putting on. If he had known this day would come, then why make that choice back then? In any case, my mother would arrive tomorrow to take me home. Yet that very night, a sudden commotion broke out in the courtyard. Just as I was wondering what had happened, Rosie rushed in, lowering her voice as she said, Bianca. She tried to hang herself. As expected, I let out a cold laugh. How is she now? Rosie curled her lips. She's fine. Rescued in time. I heard the Marquis intended to send her out of the residence to Anji, but she refused to leave no matter what. She's making a scene again, threatening to die. I already knew, driving Bianca by out of the residence would never be so easy. That night passed quietly. The next day, my mother indeed arrived, bringing quite a number of people to escort me home. Early that morning, Lady Wu had gone to the temple to pray for Adrian's blessings. I had deliberately chosen this very day when she was absent to leave. Although I had suffered many grievances in the Marquis's residence over the years, Lady Wu had never treated me poorly. I left behind a letter as a farewell. Aside from my young son, there was truly nothing left in this place that I felt reluctant to part with. I instructed the servants to load the onto the carriage, preparing to depart. Just as I reached the gates, I suddenly heard someone shout behind me, Clara, wait. Turning back, I saw Victor Wu rushing toward me, the child cradled in his arms, standing at the entrance of the residence, his hands trembling, his voice hoarse. He said, Clara, don't go. Can you give me a little more time? Let me settle everything first. I sighed, stepped forward, and gently adjusted the blanket around the child. Then I spoke softly, My lord, this is where we part. No matter what happens, as long as Bianca Bai cries, makes a scene, and threatens her life. In the end, she will always get what she wants. My lord, do not deceive yourself and torment yourself any further. In truth, from the very beginning, you had already made your choice, hadn't you? I stepped into the carriage. Behind me, the sound of a child's desperate crying suddenly rang out. Wah wah wah. It was my son, crying so fiercely. As if he knew his mother was about to leave him, I forced back my tears and gave the order with a hardened heart, let's go. The Marquis of Jing'an residence gradually faded into the distance. Victor Wu stood alone at the gates, holding the child in his arms. Beneath the plaque bearing the 4 characters Jing'an Marquis residence, the shadows of father and son stretched long and desolate. After returning to the Gao family, from Grand Madame Gao to Master Gao, Elder Uncle Gao, and Madame Elder Gao, everyone came forward to welcome me warmly. Each of them offered words of comfort, urging me not to think too much and to rest well at home. My father choked with emotion as he said, My child, it is good that you have returned. Truly good. The courtyard where you lived before your marriage has been kept exactly the same. Every day, servants clean it, waiting only for your return. My throat tightened as tears fell. Thank you, Father. My father's eyes reddened. It's good that you're back. Good that you're back. 3 years had passed, and my younger brother, Daniel Gao, had grown considerably. He was now a young man. He said to me, elder sister, from now on, I will protect you and make sure you live a good life. A warmth rose in my heart. In the end, it was still family who mattered most. I handled the division of my dowry after the separation quietly, without causing any major disturbance. However, behind my back, quite a few people sighed over my unfortunate fate. They said long ago that the Marquis of Jing'an was not a good match. I had borne him children, endured grievances. Yet in the end, I still could not keep my husband's heart. From now on, perhaps no one would be willing to marry their daughters into that household to suffer anymore. Only my second sister's mother-in-law showed some displeasure, giving her the cold shoulder for a couple of days. But my second sister was no longer the easily bullied girl she once was. She had already borne Leon Lin a son and a daughter, and her position in her husband's household was as stable as a mountain. Leon Lin, too, had learned how to protect his wife, even managing to persuade his mother to be less harsh. A few days later, it was said that Victor Wu found an excuse to severely reprimand Victor Lin. Only then did my second sister's mother-in-law realize, my separation from Victor Wu did not mean a complete severing of ties. He was still willing to stand up for me. From that point on, she finally behaved herself. As for me, I was utterly speechless. From this day forward, whatever Victor Wu did had nothing to do with me. I only hoped that he would treat the child well. Beyond that, I desired nothing more. After 3 years in the Marquis's residence, returning to the Gao family felt as light and refreshing as a spring breeze. My father and mother never once urged me to remarry. They only told me to rest well and take care of my mind and body. Half a year passed peacefully. It was not until the following spring that I heard news from the Marquis of Jing'an residence. The matter had not spread outside, but one of my dowry maids, Willow, had married a steward in the Marquis's household, so she still maintained contact. Willow was close to Rosie, and upon hearing the news, she immediately returned to report it. It was said that after I left, Lady Wu fell seriously ill. From then on, she no longer involved herself in the affairs of the household. Victor Wu also did not entrust Adrian to Bianca Bai as he had once promised. Instead, he kept the child by his side, personally overseeing him while a wet nurse cared for him. Because of this, Bianca Bai harbored resentment, but she did not dare show it openly. Whenever Victor Wu was present, she would pretend to be attentive toward the child. The moment he left, she would immediately ignore him. Willow described everything vividly. The young master looks exactly like you, Mississippi. Every time the Marquis sees him, it only deepens his longing for you. There was one time when Adrian caught a cold, and his condition did not improve for a long while. Victor Wu flew into a rage. Only after investigating did he discover that Bianca Bai had deliberately ordered the wet nurse to be driven away, then opened the windows, causing the child to catch a chill. Further investigation revealed bruises on the child's body. They were the result of Bianca Bai secretly pinching and abusing him. No wonder Victor Wu had always thought Adrian cried so often. Because he was frail. After hearing this, fury surged straight to my head. What on earth was Bianca Bai thinking? I had already left. She had already won. Why could she still not take proper care of the child? Willow continued. In his fury, Victor Wu ordered Bianca Bai to be locked in the woodshed. All these years, Bianca Bai had never suffered such hardship. before long, she became half mad. When Victor Wu went to see her again, she spoke incoherently, spilling countless mad words. I know you resent me, Marquis. You hate me. Even though Clara Gao has left, she took your heart with her. Every time you look at Adrian, it is as if you are looking at her. As long as this child exists, you will never forget her. Ever since she left, you have never touched me again, Marquis. Do you not remember what happened in Yangzhou back then? It was said that Victor Wu intended to send her away from the residence. At that moment, Bianca Bai suddenly threw her head back and laughed loudly. Once a man's heart changes, a woman becomes worthless. Ha ha ha. And just like that, Bianca Bai was sent away. I let out a soft sigh. Leaving the residence might not necessarily be a bad thing. Back then, Bianca Bai had been elevated far too high. Anyone with clear eyes could see that such favor would never last. Willow said, Miss, if she had truly behaved herself, there would have been nothing more to say. Rosie asked, what did she do now? According to Willow, after leaving the residence, Bianca Bai was settled in a refined two-room courtyard. She still had quite a number of servants attending to her. If she had remained proper, her life would not have been too bad. But in less than half a year, no one knew how she managed to get involved with a lover. The two became entangled in a passionate affair and were eventually caught in bed by the steward. When she was dragged before Victor Wu, her hair was disheveled. Knowing she had no way out, she simply gave up all restraint. With a cold laugh, she said, You already drove me out, why shouldn't I find another man? Must I remain chaste for you for the rest of my life? Marquis, you are the truly heartless one. Back in Yangzhou, I suffered so much for you, endured so many hardships, and you forgot it all so quickly? Ahaha. Let me tell you the truth. I knew your plan long ago. I was in league with those people from the very beginning. Everything was just an act, a staged performance. And more than that, my body had long been ruined. I could never bear children. That is why I pushed all the blame onto your former wife, Lydia Lee. From beginning to end, she never forced me to drink any infertility medicine. It was only my words and you believed me. You never even gave her a chance to defend herself. Lydia Lee, how pitiful. Why did she die so early? Wasn't it because you forced her to death? Ha ha ha. Only Clara Gao was truly clever. She understood that a wife cannot compare to a concubine cannot compare to a stolen love, and a stolen love cannot compare to something forever out of reach, keeping you suspended like that. No one knew where Bianca Bai was ultimately taken. They only knew that she would never appear before others again. A high-ranking marquis like Victor Wu. To have been toyed with so completely by a woman of such a background, it was both laughable and pitiable. I knew very well. Those rumors had been deliberately sent to me by Victor Wu through Willow. But what did that matter? A few days later, Victor Wu came to the Gao residence, holding Adrian in his arms. Because of the child, my parents did not stop him. He looked utterly haggard, as if he had aged several years. The moment he saw me, he lowered his voice and said, Bianca Bai. I have already dealt with her. I beg you, come back. He spoke earnestly. From now on, there will be no one between us. This time, I will properly welcome you back through the main gates, and make you the most honored marchioness in the capital. For the sake of our child. Please give me another chance. I shook my head. My lord, there is no need. If the child misses me, you may send someone to bring him here. If necessary, I will not ignore it. But as for the matter between us, it should end here. Victor Wu's face was filled with guilt. Clara, can you truly not give me another chance? A broken mirror reunited is still a beautiful thing. I now understand how wrong I was before. That wretched woman blinded me. I will never let you suffer again. I lifted my gaze and looked straight into his eyes, then sighed softly. My lord, do you still remember Julian's song? Victor Wu froze. I continued, I once said that Julian's song often went out complaining that Sophia's song was jealous, and even came to you to ask for advice on marital harmony. But in truth, every time Sophia's song scolded him, even struck him, he accepted it willingly. When His Majesty bestowed him a concubine, he would rather defy the imperial decree than accept her. I held his gaze steadily, because Julian's song understands that Sophia's song cares for him, values him. He cannot bear to hurt her. Men may flatter one another and boast endlessly, but it is all just an act. Only a man who is sincere knows how to truly respect his wife, compared to Julian's song. Victor Wu, you are nothing but a joke. I continued calmly. My lord, if you once experienced something deeply painful, then later, whenever you see the people or things connected to that time, would you not be reminded of that suffocating feeling? Victor Wu's lips trembled. Clara. I answered evenly, every time I see you, I am reminded of the humiliating days I spent in the Marquis of Jing'an residence. Back then, you used your power to force me into marriage, yet you never once truly respected me. Since childhood, I dreamed of a loving marriage, of growing old together, of raising children in warmth and harmony. But you destroyed all of it. Victor Wu's voice shook. Things are different now. I swear, from now on, there will only be you. Please. Forgive me once more. He looked pitiful, but everything was the result of his own choices. In truth, my lord, you are the kind of man whose heartlessness inspires fear. Your former wife, Lydia Lee, committed no wrongdoing, yet because of Bianca Bai's slander, you drove her into depression and death. And Bianca, by whom you once adored so deeply, once your love faded, you discarded her like refuse. You are the most cold and unfeeling man I have ever met. In fact, I had realized it long ago. If Victor Wu had truly been someone reliable, Bianca Bai would not have lived in such constant fear and unease. She had seen through his nature from the very beginning, which was why she feared ending up like Lydia Lee. I let out a quiet sigh. My lord, we have already separated. From here on, our paths diverge. We each live our own lives. Please do not come to see me again. Victor Wu's eyes reddened as he stood there, silent and forlorn. The moment I turned away, a faint ripple stirred in my heart. Once, when I first learned I was with child, I had held expectations for him. I had hoped we could become a loving couple, like my parents, kind, devoted parents to our child, living out our lives in peace together. But the moment he said, hand the child over to Bianca Bai to raise, I had severed all those dreams completely. Victor Wu, let me go. And in doing so, you will also free yourself. After that day, Victor Wu truly disappeared for a long time. Yet later on, he began coming every 3 to 5 days, bringing Adrian to the Gao residence to see me. As the child grew older, he became more and more attached to his mother. I missed him deeply as well. But that did not mean I wanted to see Victor Wu again. So every time he came, I would have my younger brother go out to receive Adrian, while I avoided meeting him. It was not until 3 years later that he came again in person. This time, I did not send my brother. I went out myself to meet him. The moment Victor Wu saw me, his eyes lit up, his voice filled with emotion. Clara, it has been so long. You are finally willing to see me. I replied calmly, my lord, this will be the last time I see you. Next month, I will be getting married. Victor Wu's face instantly turned pale. as though all the blood had drained from his body. You wish to remarry? All these years, I have been waiting for you. There has not been another woman in the Marquis's residence. I have kept myself devoted, hoping that one day you would see my sincerity. Adrian and his mother have always hoped that you would return. I am no longer the heartless man I once was. I answered calmly, what lies between us has long since passed. I have already forgotten it. Now, in my eyes, Victor Wu was nothing more than a stranger. No ripples stirred, no emotions were shaken. The man I was about to marry was my father's junior disciple. He was young, handsome, and exceptionally talented, but more importantly, he was a true gentleman. For the past 2 years, he had been gently pursuing me, hoping to take me as his wife. I always felt that, as a remarried woman, I was unworthy, and thus never dared to accept. This time, Ethan Du, the top scholar, came once again to propose. I asked him, if you enter officialdom in the future, are you not afraid of offending the Marquis of Jing'an? After all, everyone in court knows that he is deeply devoted, waiting day after day with unwavering affection. He merely smiled lightly and replied, in truth, I have no great ambition for official rank. Passing the examination was only to put my parents at ease. Besides, I have no desire to climb the ladder of power. What has that to do with the Marquis of Jing'an? If you do not find me lacking in ambition, then I only hope you will nod your head, so that I may rightfully and honorably marry you. After speaking, he cupped his hands in a deep bow, his smile as gentle as the spring breeze. At that very moment, my heart began to beat once more, and so, I agreed. Watching Victor Wu stand there, stunned and at a complete loss, I simply spoke softly, my lord, next month I will be married. If you wish, you may come and have a cup of wedding wine. If not, that is also fine. After all, once that day passes, I will no longer be at the Gao residence. Even if you remain where you are, waiting all these years, I have no obligation to respond to a love that came too late. In some matters, being a single step too late means missing a lifetime. The end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Love Stories with Lisa for more stories. Thank you so much.